Good afternoon, family. Thanks for checking out today's video. If you're new here, my name is Jonathan, and I created this channel as a way to record my progress as I work towards my goal of losing 300 pounds in 3 years. If you'd like to join the family, hit that subscribe button. Also, make sure you click on the bell icon so you get alerted when I go live or post videos. If you'd like to participate in on the discussion, you can join me on my live streams that I do most weekdays, or outside of my live stream, you can consider joining the Discord that we created. There's a link for that down in the description below. A lot of times people ask what foods that we eat to lose weight or on our diet. And so we created a Pinterest board that has a lot of our family's favorite whole food plant-based meals in it. And there's a link for that in the description below as well. Today is day 591 of my 3-year challenge to 300 pounds. I've used a combination of extended water fasting and a whole food plant-based diet to lose over 200 pounds so far. I want to thank all you guys for all your support so far through this. And I am looking forward to finishing up my 3-year challenge and reaching my goal here in the next year and a half. If anybody has any non-scale victories they want to share, I'd love to hear your non-scale victories. If you are on a diet and you're succeeding, we'd love to hear how you're doing on your diet. If you have been struggling to get started, or you've had a hard time staying consistent with your diet, let us know what's going on. Maybe there's something we can help you with to get back on track or to stay on your diet. And then the biggest thing though for me is, what are you going to do to make staying on your diet and sticking to your diet easier than the alternative, which is eating that crappy junk food that you've been eating, got you to where you're at now. So I am gonna switch over to here. I hope everybody had a wonderful evening and great day today. A couple people checking in. Christy M is saying hello, hello, Christy, and Pretty Girl's mom saying hello, or good afternoon. Good afternoon to you as well. I hope, like I said, you guys all had a great day. Here in the Midwest, there is a heat wave. It is hot as heck outside. I did my best to avoid being outside too much today because I was outside for a decent bit yesterday. But yeah, it's just been oppressively hot. So I hope that you've been able to stay cool wherever you are at. Have to be out in that. So let me see. Yesterday evening, got home and Carrie had to do some running around, so I was in charge of kind of finishing up dinner and getting things ready to go. But Carrie had put together a really awesome dinner last night. She's checking in saying hello, Carrie. I hope everything's going great today at home. The something that over the last week we've had it twice now, where Carrie has just taken a bunch of root vegetables and Instapotted them. And so, like, sweet potatoes, regular potatoes, and carrots. And yesterday she had cooked them and then put some in the air fryer, I think, to kind of crisp them up a little bit. But we had a nice, like, vegetable mix for dinner, and I'm gonna hope that my system is working here, and it is. So this is our dinner from last night, and I'll zoom in so you can see these big brown chunks here. May look like meat, but these are big chunks of portobello mushroom that are awesome. And then in there we got some onions, some red peppers, there's sweet potato, there's some carrots down in the bottom of this, and then some regular potatoes as well. I ended up having a couple bowls of this, and if I didn't have to save any for Carrie when she got home, I would have eaten more. But there's just, like I said, the last week we've had these root vegetables twice, and I really like the mix of them, and it's really been great having a couple recipes with them. And just I feel like I'm able to just get like this full belly of food and not feel guilty about eating carrots, sweet potatoes, and and then also, oh, Carrie's making sure I remember there's a zucchini in there too. Yes, there was some zucchini in the vegetable mix that she did. Um, you know, overall, it was a lot of effort to put this together. I think she did the root vegetables, baked the onions, the peppers, and the zucchini separate, and then cooked the mushrooms on the stove top. So it was a little bit of a complicated meal to put together, but really was awesome flavoring and great dinner last night. I didn't take a whole lot of photos of food. I think the only other thing I did take a photo of, so I had oatmeal this morning, um, but I was feeling like having some toast, and we don't have any nut butter right now. We use this Crazy Richards nut butter, and so I decided I wanted to have some toast, but um I didn't have anything to put on it because we didn't have the nut butter, except for I did have one thing to put on it. And you're not gonna be able to tell from the photo, and I'll try to zoom in here. But this is Ezekiel bread, and then what I spread on top of it was the Primo's spicy habanero mustard, that we have got from them, and it was very spicy. I definitely needed to maybe add something else. I had taken a photo a couple weeks ago and shared it where I took a piece of bread and I put, the spicy habanero mustard on half of it, and then I put some spinach hummus that Carrie had made on the other half, and kind of help cut the spiciness. This was very spicy. I I'll probably eat it again just because I really like that mustard. But if you don't like spice, I would avoid this because it is very. But those are really the only photos I took. Like I said, we did have our regular. Actually, we went back to our regular savory oatmeal because the last 2 days we had been eating that sweet oatmeal. So today we went back to the savory oatmeal, and it's really amazing. I really like it, and feel like it's probably overall more nutritious to eat the savory oatmeal than the sweet oatmeal is very satisfying. All the Christy M says here that they've been sick and you lost your appetite. You haven't had much to eat, but the only things that have sounded good have been whole foods. Well, that's great that the only thing that sounds good is whole foods. And um, just make sure you're getting enough calories in because it is lower calorie density. And if you do go for too long of a period of time where you're not eating a lot of food, you know, just have to you risk that possibility of a a binge, or like your body finally being like, okay, let's get some calories in. But hopefully you've been finding some good whole foods to eat and it's been satisfying. Shy is saying, hey, Shy, I hope you're having a great day. You can only eat zucchinis as zoodles. Okay. Carrie says that she loves zucchini. Uh, you should break out your spiralizer for zoodles. And then just kind of curious what you use on your zoodles for your sauce, the marinara, or what do you add with your? And then Pretty Girl's mom said that she knew it was the mustard before I even said the mustard. That's great. Yeah, I've really been liking that. We bought a few jars of it here because we liked it so much. That was it was a good snack. It was a bit much, or it was a bit spicy, but um I had a big glass of water. If anything, eating that mustard makes sure that I get plenty of liquid in for the day because I have to wash it down and clear my throat. And then the Ezekiel bread, I generally have a glass of water with me so that I can help kind of moisturize that before I swallow it, whether I do it with that mustard or not. So that was food. I think I did end up having shredded wheat last night, I think. And then there was a little bit of mango left, but it was just like not even a full, like satisfying handful of mango. It was just what I left in the bottom of the bag. Um, I I was going through some old photos the other day, and I'm gonna show this photo here on stream. It's on my thumbnail, but since I have this connected, I can show the photo here. This I'm not even sure what I mean, this has got to be like a 4-year-old photo since my twins are 5 and they look like they're about 1 here. Um, but I just can't believe the difference in my size here. I mean, I'm holding our 2 daughters, but my belly is just massive. That probably wasn't even me at my heaviest weight. This was probably me in the upper 400s, but not quite to 500 pounds yet. So it's just amazing looking through some of those photos and seeing the difference. And I have some other photos that we've taken throughout the years. But you know, when you're that overweight, you generally try to avoid having your photo taken as much as possible. But yeah, I just was really amazed when I saw this photo, just how big I looked, how big my stomach was, and just trying to do anything, walking around with that extra. There's probably 100 more pounds in my abdomen there than I have now. So just a wild difference in the 2 photos. I thought um let's see. Shy says you use a tomato basil sauce. It's so good. You use mushroom, bell peppers, and then maybe broccoli. Um, and then Pretty Girl's mom said that they like to put lentils and mushrooms in the marinara with the noodles. I'd be down for some mushrooms and some marinara sauce. I hadn't really thought of that. We usually have it's a little bit chunkier marinara, you know, like the not like a super smooth sauce, but having some mushrooms in there sounds pretty good. And then I'd never thought to put pickles in there. Um, let's see here. Shy says big transformation. Uh, and then Pretty Girl is so the marinara with the mushrooms and the lentils inside the marinara give you that meaty sauce, or it makes you think of that. Yeah, I could see that with the lentils, especially uh how that could kind of that feel of ground beef. I don't things we might have to try. Christy says here that my interview with the Colin Campbell Center for Nutritional Studies popped up, and you watched it. It was a great interview. Yes, Sharm was awesome. He had reached out to me back in November of 2021, and we did that interview, and it was really awesome to share my story with her. That was really the first ever interview I've done, so I was very nervous about it. Fortunately for me, the first time we did it, the video screwed up. And so I kind of got a second shot at the interview. It was a week or 2 weeks after we did it the first time, and I was maybe able to question a little bit better. But yeah, that was a fun interview. Sharm is a really awesome person, and she's doing a lot to try to promote this way of eating. There's actually in the description of all of my videos is a link to that. So if you want to see my interview with Sharm at the Colin Campbell Center for Nutritional Studies, that's down below. And also my interview with Chef AJ is down below at but yeah, that was fun to do that interview. I'm glad you had a chance to check it out and wait. Today I was gonna talk about it's kind of funny. There's a person that watches me here that's on our Discord that they've shared a couple videos. Rosemary is her name. Thank you, Rosemary, for sharing the videos on our Discord. And I've watched the videos, and um, they're with one of the interviews is with Dr. Doug Lisle from the True North Center, and the other one is with Alan Goldhamer, who also from the True North Center. If you guys been following along, that's really who I have to credit with a lot of my success. I haven't actually interacted with either one of them, but when I started this channel, my focus was going to be on water fasting and how I was going to fast my way to good health. And that was what my intention was, that I was going to jump from extended fast to intermittent fasting to couple day fasting to trying to find windows to use fasting to lose weight. I had no intention eating plant-based diet when I started. I had never planned on doing, but about halfway through the fast is when I learned about the True North Clinic out in California. I read their book, The Pleasure Trap, and it's changed everything. And both of those doctors that run that clinic out there are really amazing in different respects or different, the great thing about Dr. Goldhamer is that he is kind of a no nonsense, no BS kind of straight to the point guy. He's got a pretty dry humor. And then Dr. Lisle seems to be the more compassionate of the two. He takes a more psychological approach to things, uh, and is maybe less rigid than Goldhamer. So I think that they complement each other very well. But I ended up watching these two videos that Rosemary had shared on the Discord, and I really it was kind of like I took uh, both of the interviews and I found kind of a similar kind of or way to link them together, I guess. Pretty Girl's mom says that it was an amazing contrast in your physical appearance since that picture was taken. Yes, just overall everything. I feel like I probably even looked a little wiped out in that photo just because we had two young twin daughters. That helps. But yes, everything has really improved, and I take better care of myself as far as my hair. But uh, listening to the two interviews, one of the things that Dr. Lisle talks about a lot is about this idea of a diet plateau. And he doesn't feel that plateauing really exists, or the word plateau isn't the right terminology that people should be using. And what he talks about is how you get to what he calls a behavioral equilibrium. And so, what that kind of means is that if you start off and you change your diet to this great health promoting diet and start eating a whole food plant based diet, that you're going to see some amazing results from that right away because you're switching from this awful processed food, high calorie diet that you're used to, and you're going to see positive results. And you see those positive results. And in my case, I've seen, over the first 9-10 months, I lost an incredible amount of weight. That's really where I lost the bulk of my weight, was in the first 10 months of doing this. And then I've kind of sat here and said, been on this plateau for the past 9 months or 8 months. And it's been frustrating. But what he talks about is that it's not my diet's fault that I've hit this behavioral equilibrium. It's it's there's a lot of components to it, because when you first start this, you change that diet, or and I have never done working out, but in a lot of cases, people when they start a diet, they start a workout program. But you reach a point where, um, or at the very beginning, it's really easy to lose the weight, and everything that you do seems to cause you to lose more weight. And everything's awesome, but then over time, that weight loss starts to slow down, or it starts to level off to a point where you're not losing weight. And if a lot of what he's saying is that if you really focus in and look at what's going on, it's generally not because you are uh or it's generally that leveling off is because there has been changes in what you're doing since when you started. So one of the things that I've talked about before is that when we first started this diet, I didn't love all the that we were eating. And because I didn't love all these foods, that would just naturally cause me to eat a smaller volume of those. But over time, I develop a taste for these foods. And so then instead of having one serving of the mega veggie chili at dinner, I might have a second serving of it because I'm enjoying the food now. And so that my behavior, it doesn't seem like it changed much, but it did change. Or you start adding little things in because you think they're not going to harm anything. Decide to start eating a little bit of flour, or you add salt into your diet because, well, those are no calorie, or it's still or it's still plant based. Shouldn't make that big of a difference, but these little changes, they do make a difference. And then there's other things, like if you started your diet off and you were working out and you were doing 5 half-hour workouts a week, and now you're 9 months in or 10 months into your diet, and you start looking back at your last week and it's been like, well, I only did 3 workouts or I haven't been doing any workouts because I haven't had the time. Your behavior changed. And so then you get to what he calls this behavioral equilibrium. And as long as you continue to keep your behavior that same way, you're going to get the same results. And so you have to, if you get to a point where you've leveled off and haven't been able to get past that weight, sort of like I've been dealing with, is you have to start looking at everything that you're doing, start making. And that's really what I've tried to do over the past 8 9 months is I've looked at the things I've added and tried to find or feel like if those have added value to my diet or if they're hurting me. And some of the things that I had introduced into my diet, like avocados and the fruit juices, um, are things that I I enjoy. I really liked having the avocado sandwiches that I was making, or the avocado toast I was making. I really love the cherry juice that I was drinking. But those are behaviors that changed. Like when I look back at when I started drinking the cherry juice was when I was working out to train for the sprint triathlon I did last. So I was intaking more calories from juice, but I was also using more calories because I was going out and running and riding bike and trying to swim. And so I was burning those calories. So I was still seeing a weight loss. But then once I stopped doing the training and didn't work out anymore, I still kept juice in my diet. And by doing that, it hurt me, but in my mind, I was like, well, I'd been drinking juice for a couple months and it didn't cause any issue. But what I didn't think about was how that while I added the juice, I also had added a physical activity. Then once I removed that physical activity, then I needed to remove the I didn't. And the avocado was something similar. Actually, the avocado I got rid of because I felt like I was, which was very frustrating because I felt like avocado couldn't be that bad of a food, but it can be an issue. Um, and so I really like that idea of the not necessarily it being a plateau, but more being a behavioral equilibrium. And if you want to get out of that area, that equilibrium, you have to make some changes. You have to shake things up a little. And that's something that I have been doing. Like I said, I got rid of the juice. We did have the mango last weekend, but we don't have it in our shelf regularly. And then another big one for us that has been a change that we have needed to make, that we were slow to make, was getting rid of cashew. Uh, I feel like those are also a place where I got a lot of unneeded calories. Anytime that I would want a snack, it's really easy to just go and grab a big handful of cashews or a couple handfuls of cashew, those as a so we eliminated those from our pantry so that temptation's not there anymore. And I really feel like I'm starting to get going back in the right direction. It's such a up and down roller coaster, but the last few days have been or the last week or two, I've really felt like I've been in a good spot, and feel like I say that a lot too. Carrie says that we're also avoiding making meals with coconut milk. Yes, that's another thing. I feel like our chickpea tikka masala had coconut milk in it. I think that's what it was, and we haven't had that for a little while. But yeah, just getting rid of some of those little things. Um, and so that was kind of the Doug Lisle part of the videos I watched. And the other video I watched today actually was the interview with Dr. Alan Goldhamer. And a couple of the things that he talks about in this interview is well, one of the things you have to realize is that we are the result of thousands and thousands of years of our species trying to survive. And so uh because of that, as a population, we are the ones that can generally, or genetically, we get stronger over time because the weakest genetic aspects of our species get weeded out. And um and so the example he gives, like, is talks about our ancestors got on a boat and they sailed on this boat, and we there's that boat went from point A to point B, and between those two spots, people died, and we are the ones that survived because we had the ability to either store fat better or burn less energy. There's genetic reasons why our ancestors survived while these other uh, people didn't survive. And so, what it's been a weird, I've thought this in the past, but I've never really wanted to, like, vocalize it because it seems not doesn't doesn't make sense. It makes sense, but it's that I've so my body, believe it or not, and anybody who's really overweight, your bodies, the reason why you're overweight is because your body is so efficient and it's so good at storing fat. The people who their body sucks at storing fat or isn't efficient at storing fat, those are the people that, oh, they can eat anything and they stay skinny. Well, that genetically is not a positive attribute. If we were running around 20,000 years ago and there's a person that can, if they eat something that has fat in it, their body stores 100% of that fat, that person's going to survive longer than somebody who eats fat and their body only stores 20%. In today's world, when we don't have to worry about starving or worried about um, food scarcity, those people are the ones that we idolize and we look to and be like, man, I wish I could look like she looks because she isn't fat, or he looks because he isn't overweight. And um, they actually might not be genetically, their systems aren't as efficient as your system is. And so as overweight individual, we're better at storing fat. And so when you're trying to get rid of that fat, you have to be even more hyper vigilant that you're avoiding fat and you're doing the right things because your body genetically is better. It seems counterintuitive in this society that we live in that fat people have an advantage over skinny people, but it is that, an overweight person, somebody like me, and there is volume there that goes into play. I was eating a large volume of food, but my body is been able to store that fat very efficiently. And so what we run into in this culture when we're watching diet programs or we're trying to be like somebody else or we're trying to mimic these other people's programs, what we don't realize is that if if I want to be skinny, I have to be more on top of my diet than somebody who's naturally skinny spite of their diet because my body's better at storing fat. So you may have this person that you are looking at as a role model for what to do because they're such a skinny person. You think, well, if I do everything that this skinny person is doing, then I should be skinny like them as well. But what isn't in that factor is that you hit the genetic lottery in your ability to store fat. You store fat twice as efficient as that person that you're idolizing, you're trying to reach. Then if you eat the same amount of fat as they're eating, you're storing twice as much fat. So you're not going to see those results that they're seeing. And or you're not going to see the results that you're hoping to see by following their diet because your body's more efficient storing and using the fat. And so we have to run our own race, which is part of it. But you also have to realize that if you're somebody who can put fat on easily, then you need more focused on your diet than somebody who is. And that's just something that behavioral equilibrium works into that at the same time because I was eating an awesome diet and lost all that weight for the first part of this. And then I've made changes, and those changes don't seem very dramatic to me. It just seems like, oh, I added juice or I started eating a little bit of avocado. But because my body is so efficient at absorbing the calories from the juice, storing the fat from the avocado, that it is harder for me to get out of that equilibrium because my body is so efficient. And so when you're struggling with your weight loss and you feel like you've hit a plateau, you really need to just evaluate what you're doing, find out the areas in your diet that you can improve because if if you're eating a whole food plant-based salt, oil, sugar-free diet as the doctors at the True North Clinic prescribe to people, following it to a T, you will lose weight until you reach your body's optimal weight. Because nobody's body wants to be overweight. We don't, my body, like they talk about in the book and they talk about in these interviews that birds in the wild do not eat or so much food that they get too fat to fly because it's a disadvantage for them to get that fat. They uh in a controlled environment in a test, in a lab, they can probably feed these animals food that gets them fat enough that they can't fly. But in the wild, there's not a lot of fat animals. You don't see animals that are fatter than their peers, I guess. Like they all generally have about the same fat percentage. But in humans, there's a huge range. There's people that have 5% body fat, there's people that have 50% body fat. And so um we have uh and so but our bodies want us to be at like 12% or 15% body. Like that's the optimal like amount of body fat that's on our body. And so if you're eating a whole food plant exclusive diet that's salt, oil, sugar free, then you will lose weight till you get to the weight your body's. And I have eaten very close to a whole food, plant-based, salt, oil, sugar-free diet for the last year and a half, but it was only the first 9 months that I was 100%. First 9, 10 months, I was 100%. I lost all my weight. The second 9 months, I was not 100%. I was like 95%. And that 5%, that made a difference between continuing to lose 1 to 2 pounds a week and floundering between losing a couple pounds here, gaining a couple pounds there, and not finding it. So I really am working towards getting back into that whole food plant based. And I do, it's been weeks now since I've had anything that wasn't on my diet, but it does seem to me that when I do go off my diet, even as minimal or simple as it seems that I went off, oh, I just had um, something that had a little bit of sodium or something that had a little bit of added sugar, my body takes that and it stores the oils as fat. It takes the sugar and burns that as energy at first, and then anything that's left over converts to fat. Or, like it's even these little things, even being 5% from perfect, is keeping me from getting to the results as fast as I'd like to get to the result. So, um, it's really just kind of listening to these two interviews is just really vitalized my resolve to stick to whole food health because I'm not to a goal weight. And the other thing that I've learned too is that this is the way I'm eating really for the rest of my life. But if I get to my goal and I want to add avocado in once a week or add the cashew back in or add the coconut back in, I might be able to get away with that once I get to my goal weight. But until I get to that point, I need to stay vigilant and I need to stay on top of what I'm in. Um, Carrie, let's see. There's a few comments I missed here. Um, all Pretty Girl's mom says all those little changes can make a big difference. Yeah, it really and you don't realize it, it just takes hits you. There was Wanda Stagger says, I've missed you, man. Been down sick, but good news. You've lost 18 pounds. That's awesome. Congratulations on losing 18 pounds. I'm glad to hear that you're getting into it and had some success here recently. Carrie says that she likes hearing something good about her body. Yes, if you are overweight or you're the type of person that says anything I eat sticks right to my hips, then that means that your body is really good and it's really efficient at storing fat. And um, So it's always been a weird, like, I've thought this for years and years, but it's something that you don't really vocalize much because it seems a bit silly. Um, then Pretty Girl's mom said, when if the big famine comes along, we are more likely to survive. Yes. Oh man. Um, so that's kind of it's interesting. I guess you made that because everybody knows, 2020, we had this pandemic hit, and I was I remember having this thought in my head March of 2020, um that there was one of two options that I could kind of take at that point. I could use this as an opportunity to lose weight and get healthy. There's a lot of people that, not a lot, but there's people that did lose weight over COVID. They changed their habits or their behaviors, and it was a positive for them, and they lost weight. But I had this, because I'd already known about fasting, and I had done a 30-day fast. I'd done some other smaller extended fasts. And there was a little bit in the back of my head where it was kind of like, well, if the world's going to go to hell, maybe I should put on as many pounds as I can put on so that when the famine happens, then I'll outlive any. And um, that that was a thought I had. I was already 500 pounds, and how toxic is that? I'm already 500 pounds. I'm thinking, well, maybe, I'm not going to worry about losing weight, and if I put on a couple pounds, it probably wouldn't hurt. Uh, uh, it's that was, like I said, it's awful thoughts to have, but I remember thinking that, like, if there's not going to be any food on the shelves, at least I got food on my ass. Um, and I'll outlive everybody. Stan and Hope says, but I don't want to be good at storing fat. Yes, I know. I wish I wasn't good at storing fat, but um, really, it's evolutionary though. I mean, that's nothing we can avoid. It's our species needed to be good at storing some amount of fat, and kind of push it limit with our current diet or what. Um, so yeah, I just was really that behavioral equilibrium is been something I've been thinking about since I saw that interview, and I've heard him talk about that in the past. And especially with where I feel like, because I've felt like I've been on a plateau for the last Pretty Girl's mom says, too late, standing. Sorry. The um Yeah, it's just been, I've known that, like, that's something that I've thought again in the past about since I was on this, how much I wish that uh I would not have had a meal that was not salt. Like, I know the point it happened, like in September of 2021, me and Carrie were traveling. We were in the state capital, and we were hungry. And so we decided to try a vegan restaurant that they sold the plant-based burgers, and we had burgers there, and it kind of was our first from Breaking Hearts. Ever played the Hearts? I had resisted any temptations for 9, 10 months, never let anything come in. And then at that point, I kind of allowed this meal to happen. And uh, that, that was the point at which my diet trajectory. And um, in hindsight, uh, there's, obviously I wish my trajectory wouldn't have changed. I still would have continued to lose 1 to 2 pounds every week for the last 6, 7 months, but that didn't happen. Um, but at the same token is that I was I learned so much the last night. Carrie says here she remembers being so disappointed that our body didn't reject the vegan junk food. Yeah, we kind of thought that we would get sick from the oil or the salt would make us feel bad, and it didn't. Uh, that's something that uh, those they it really didn't give us any negative thing. If we would have eaten maybe animal products or dairy, I'm sure that we would have had issues. But because it was just oil, sugar, and salt added to our diet, they didn't have a negative effect. Um, but I guess, like I said, the flip side of the coin, being disappointed that we did do that and we had these experiences over the last 9 months. But on the other side, I learned a lot. I learned that um, those foods taste great, but I don't need them, and that I uh, I truly this is the diet that I'm going to eat the rest of, and I don't need to have meals every week that, because when we start after that meal, we had that burger, then the next few months, every week, we were kind of finding an excuse on Saturday to go and try a new vegan junk. Or if you go to my videos and you search Foz Feast, I did a couple videos where I ate essentially vegan junk food on camera, and uh, they were they tasted great, but they weren't anything that improved my life. Like it wasn't like earth shattering that I had these things and I'm gonna eat those every time I get an opportunity to eat them. It was just something different, and um and I feel because at the time, and I've talked about this in the past too, I really felt like I was uh I was worried that when I got to my goal weight that I was going to be disappointed by the vegan food option that I was going to have when I got to my goal weight, because I was still under this false premises that right now I'm eating my diet food, and when I get to my goal weight, then I'll have a different diet. It took this 9 month period to realize is that I'm not eating a diet right now that is weight loss diet. I'm eating a diet that is health promoting diet. And if I want to continue to promote health the rest of my life, then I have to eat health promoting diet. So while I may have a vegan pizza, a slice of vegan pizza in my future, or I may eat a chicken nugget in my future, right now, I know that to get to my goal, those things cannot be on my even a little bit, because my body's so efficient at using the chemicals that are in there to store that fat. Um, the Stand and Hope asks, do you think there is a difference between a vegan diet and a weight loss diet? Absolutely. There are the McDougall book, The Starch Solution. He has a chapter in it called The Fat Vegan. And he talks about just eating a vegan diet um isn't gonna make you could eat a box of Oreos every day and it would technically could there's lots of candies you could have, sodas that are technically vegan that are not a weight loss diet. Um, I am on a, like, and it's because vegan is an ethical stance. Somebody who is a vegan, that they don't want to see the harm, exploitation of animals. Uh, Something that's a whole different thing that I've been wrestling with over the past 18. Uh, am I vegan? Because to a devout vegan, I probably wouldn't be considered a vegan because I still have some things in my life that are, well, products. My wallet, a leather wallet, but I also feel like, you know, if I were to just throw that wallet away, then it would be life more than it. I'm actually getting a use out of the wallet, um, but um, so I'm not really, uh, I try really hard. Like the last few pairs, like the things I do going forward, I'm making a conscious choice not to harm animals the best I can. The shoes I buy, I try to buy shoes that are vegan shoes, or the next belt I buy will be a not leather belt. Or if I did replace that wallet, replace it with a nylon wallet or something other than a leather wallet. So, but uh, yeah. So the vegan diet, while it's, getting rid of the cheese is big advantage. That's probably where the healthiest part of it is, getting rid of the dairy. Um, Calorie density is ridiculous on those. And Shawanda says, I agree. I realized quickly them at you can overconsume anything vegan and still gain weight. Definitely not a vegan, but I do enjoy vegan recipes that are whole food plant. Yeah, I mean um yeah, veganism is an ethical. They don't, necessarily care about health. It just happens that generally a healthier diet than an omnivore. So, um, right. Yes. Pretty Girl's mom says, but we can say we follow a vegan diet. Yes, we follow a vegan diet. And I think that, if you get on YouTube long enough and start looking at videos, you see that people confuse veganism with diet. Uh, yeah, that's something where they confuse, people that hate on veganism. A lot of times they say it's unhealthy diet. The thing that I've kind of always thought or retorted to that is that a true vegan, if you showed them test results that showed that a vegan diet was the unhealthiest diet you could do, a vegan would still eat a vegan because they don't care about the health aspect, care about the harm aspect. And so people try to knock the veganism as an unhealthy diet, um, but they vegans don't care it's unhealthy. Dan Hope says, or let's see, Pretty Girl's mom said, and a whole food plant exclusive diet. Yeah, and I've been wrestling with. I've called it a whole food plant based diet the last year and a half. I started doing this diet, and I'm finding that maybe calling it a whole food plant exclusive diet is a little clearer, because there's some people that I've even followed that are plant based, that when you start drilling into what they're doing, they're having egg once a week, or they're doing something where, they're 99% whole food plants, so they're plant based, but they're not plant. So I've wrestled with that. Stan and Hope says that you were on Chef AJ yesterday with McDougall. He certainly set you straight. I need to eat really simply. And yeah, you know, that's really funny. The food I shared, the root vegetable, the potato, carrot, sweet potato mix that Carrie's been doing in the Instapot. It just seems so simple and it really tastes amazing. They love flavors. So it is a lot about simplifying things. Because what's kind of weird too is that when you simplify our food and go back to eating these whole food plant based, it actually becomes less convenient because the alternatives that are out there that all these have available to us are still easier to cook and process than a lot of these whole food plant. Uh, uh, Rwanda says that simple was the key for you. Yeah, I definitely feel that way. Um, And then Carrie says, yeah, people definitely seem to understand vegan more than whole food plant based. Yeah, it's really something that uh they so Pretty Girl's Mom. So you were, you know, I read that. I thought you were you were actually on Chef AJ with McDougall, like you were on video, Stand and Hope. I didn't know that. Check that out. Um, uh, Pretty Girl's Mom said that they saw you on Chef AJ and The Good Doctor. So that's awesome. Um, but yeah, when you start talking to people about our diet, you know, I have good friends of mine that I've said, I've been like, what's whole food plant based, and they're like, look at you cross-eyed, and you're like, it's a vegan diet. Oh, I don't want to be. Or there was a YouTube guy that does live streams that I had made a comment on one of his streams, or made a couple comments on his streams about eating a plant-based diet. And I didn't type in vegan the first time, but then I did type in vegan, and then he latched onto that word. And so it was interesting that they were, how quickly somebody. Carrie saying, yeah, we'll check that out. Stand in Hope. And Shawanda says they'll have to check it out next. Yeah, I'm gonna have to check it out as well. I'm excited to see it and let you know what I think. Um, so I'm getting to about an hour here, so I'm gonna get out of here today. It's been a long morning. I had to get up and do flags because it's Flag Day and my son's in Boy Scouts. So we put up these flags throughout our town that they so it's been a long day. So I'm gonna get out of here now. I will not be on tomorrow, so we will be doing a weigh-in Thursday. What we'll be doing, I guess, instead of weigh-in Wednesday this week. I'm going to be traveling um today. I'm going to be traveling tomorrow all day. So I should be able to avoid any real bad situations. Harry says that we have sloppy joes and coleslaw for dinner. Well, that's an interesting. Is it the lentil sloppy joes we've had in the past, or is it a new recipe? Um, the uh Yeah, so I'm gonna have to make sure that I take some potatoes, get some road potatoes, so that um uh so that I have some calories to eat, and I don't get in a position where I feel like I'm missing out or I need to stop and get some food. Um Rwanda says you appreciate my knowledge you share. It's definitely not in vain. Well, thank you so much. And Carrie said it is the one we've had in the past. Awesome. So I'm going to get out of here today. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, get subscribed to the channel. Click on the bell icon, thumbs up the video, do all that fun stuff. If you guys have not started your diet yet, get started right now. No reason to wait, guys. Just gonna end your life sooner than you need to. Get started on your diet and stick to it. Nobody ever gets to their goal and wishes they would have waited. Everybody says they would. I'm included. Back in March of 2020, when I decided, hey, you know what? If a famine comes, I need to make sure I'm as fat as possible. If I would have made the opposite decision and said, hey, people that are overweight are dying from this stuff, maybe I should kick my ass in here, then I'd be further along than get started right now. Don't fall for the two myths of moderation, the myth of moderate change, the idea that you're going to slowly convert to a healthy diet while still enjoying the junk food that you enjoy. Not possible. The idea that you're gonna start salad before you have dinner and then eventually you're just gonna be eating healthy, not gonna be eating the chicken nuggets, that other stuff, or the idea that because I ate a salad before dinner, I'm going to eat less of that at dinner. Ridiculous. The other myth is the myth of moderate consumption. The idea that a little bit of something unhealthy is okay. Uh, if that were true, we would all be thin because everybody who's trying to lose weight has tried to eat in moderation. We've tried to eat smaller portions, we've tried to eat less food. If it succeeded, we'd be surrounded by skinny people, and that is not the case. Um, so don't fall for the myth of moderate consumption. Pretty Girl's mom says maybe some fruit too. Yes, I will definitely be stealing some oranges from the pantry and uh, have those on the road as well. So I will see you guys on Thursday, and I hope you have a good couple days till I see you guys again.